In today's fast-paced world, one of the most difficult challenges we face is acknowledging our own faults. It's human nature to quickly point out others' mistakes, but how often do we take the time to reflect on our own? When I was young, my parents taught me a simple yet profound lesson. When you point a finger at others, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. This stuck with me, as it serves as a reminder to focus inward before passing judgment on others. But why is it so easy to see the faults in others, yet so difficult to confront our own shortcomings? The answer lies in a deeply ingrained habit, a mental pattern, that leads us to continuously look outward instead of inward. In this video, we will explore this habit, how it hinders our growth, and most importantly, how to break free from it. With insights from Buddhist teachings and some personal thoughts, we will uncover how shifting our focus from others to ourselves can bring about profound transformation. Understanding the habit of finding faults in others. The tendency to find fault in others is something we've all done at some point in life. Whether it's at work, home, or even with friends, the natural inclination is to observe what others are doing wrong. This habit has roots in our psychological defense mechanisms. Pointing out others' flaws can provide a temporary sense of superiority or even a distraction from facing our own vulnerabilities. It's much easier to deal with someone else's problems than to confront our own discomfort. But let's take a step back and reflect. How often have we made mistakes? How many times have we struggled with our own challenges? When you start realizing that no one is perfect, it opens a door to compassion. This compassion not only helps you see the humanity in others, but also allows you to be gentler with yourself. After all, we are all navigating the complexities of life in our unique ways. The Buddha, in verse number 50, teaches us that rather than focusing on what others have or have not done, whether good or bad, we should pay attention to our own actions. This message might sound simple, but its implications are profound. We can't change others, but we can work on ourselves. So why waste energy on pointing out their flaws when that energy could be spent on self-improvement? The reality of imperfection. There is a unique beauty in human imperfection. In school, I remember learning about the concept of human error in physics, which essentially meant that no measurement or calculation could be 100% accurate because humans are inherently prone to mistakes. While this might sound negative at first, it is actually what makes life interesting. Our differences, our quirks, and yes, even our mistakes, contribute to the rich tapestry of human experience. Expecting perfection from others, or even from yourself, is a recipe for disappointment. No one is going to behave exactly the way you want them to, just as you might not always meet others' expectations. This realization is key to personal freedom. Once you let go of the unrealistic demand for perfection, whether it's from a friend, partner, or colleague, you free yourself from frustration and anger. You also give them the space to be themselves, which creates more harmonious relationships. Relating to the struggles of others. Another important Buddhist teaching is understanding that everyone is suffering in some way. Life is filled with challenges, and even those who seem to have it all together are likely facing difficulties you cannot see. Whether it's financial stress, relationship issues, or personal insecurities, everyone is navigating some form of dissatisfaction. This is part of the human condition. Realizing this brings us closer to empathy. Instead of getting frustrated when someone makes a mistake, we can learn to approach them with kindness. After all, just as we are struggling, so are they. For example, when a coworker misses a deadline, your first reaction might be anger. But if you pause and consider that they might be dealing with a personal crisis or simply overwhelmed with their workload, your perspective shifts. This doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but rather approaching it with a broader understanding of the human experience. Balancing compassion and accountability. While it's important to cultivate compassion, does this mean we should ignore the faults of those we care about? Absolutely not. There are times when it is necessary to address the mistakes of others, especially when those individuals are close to us. However, the way we go about doing this is crucial. In my own experience, I've found that using anger or confrontation rarely leads to positive outcomes. When you approach someone with hostility, they often become defensive, and the conversation quickly deteriorates into conflict. Instead, it's more productive to speak to them privately, away from the judgment of others. By focusing on the positive aspects of their behavior and gently pointing out where improvement is needed, you open a door to constructive dialogue. Let me share an example. A close friend of mine once made a decision that negatively impacted our friendship. I was hurt, but instead of confronting them in the heat of the moment, I waited until we could talk in private. I acknowledged the positive contributions they had made to our relationship and then calmly explained how their actions had hurt me. Because the conversation was respectful and balanced, we were able to resolve the issue without any lingering resentment. The importance of focusing on positivity. One key takeaway from this video is the importance of focusing on the positive attributes of others. When we concentrate too much on their flaws, it becomes harder to appreciate their strengths. Over time, this mindset can erode relationships and foster negativity. However, when we make a conscious effort to see the good in people, it not only strengthens our connections, but also makes it easier to address any issues that arise. In Buddhism, this approach is rooted in the concept of Mettā, or loving kindness. By practicing Mettā, we train ourselves to approach others with warmth and goodwill, even when they make mistakes. This doesn't mean ignoring their faults, but rather addressing them with compassion and understanding. When you come from a place of love, your words and actions are more likely to be received positively. Personal growth through self-awareness. At the end of the day, the journey towards self-awareness is a personal one. As much as we might want to change others, the only person we truly have control over is ourselves. This realization is liberating because it shifts the focus from external circumstances to internal development. When you stop spending so much energy criticizing others, you free up space to work on your own growth. I've found that mindfulness meditation is a powerful tool for cultivating this self-awareness. By sitting in stillness and observing your thoughts without judgment, you begin to see patterns of behavior that you might not have noticed before. For example, you might realize that your tendency to criticize others stems from your own insecurities or fears. Once you become aware of these patterns, you can start to change them. Breaking the habit of finding fault in others is not easy, but it is one of the most freeing changes you can make. By focusing on your own growth and practicing compassion toward others, you create a more harmonious inner world and, by extension, a more peaceful outer world. Remember, no one is perfect, and that includes you. The beauty of life lies in its imperfections, and when you learn to embrace them, both in yourself and others, you open the door to deeper connections and greater happiness. So the next time you find yourself about to point out someone's mistake, pause and reflect. Could this be an opportunity for self-growth? Could this be a moment to practice compassion? By shifting your perspective, you not only improve your relationships, but also embark on a path of personal transformation. If you found this message meaningful, take a moment today to reflect on how often you focus on the faults of others. Can you replace those moments with self-reflection and growth? Start small, and over time, you'll notice a shift in your mindset and your relationships. Remember, it all starts with you. Nam Buddhaya, and may you find peace in this journey towards self-awareness.